Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Nathan Boyd, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is leading aircraft woman Lauren Raffy. We warmly welcome Wing Commander Michael Garside, Australian War Memorial Air Force Fellow representing the Air Force Association. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the War Memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was a vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières in France in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance of the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved. And here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those in the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who gave their lives for us in war and on operation for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths of floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Flight Sergeant John Downton Whitby. John Downton Whitby was born on the 5th of May 1922, one of 5 children born to John and Ivy Whitbin of Barmerdin, North Wagga Wagga in New South Wales. Whitby attended Temora Intermediate High School and later worked as a bank clerk and ledger keeper in the area. He was a keen sportsman who enjoyed swimming, running and athletics, and played cricket, golf and tennis. In May 1942, not long after his 20th birthday, Whitby travelled to Sydney and enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force. He trained at various bases across New South Wales and Victoria, including Westsail, Cootamundra and Parkes, and by March 1943 had mustered as a navigator. In April 1943, he embarked from Sydney for continued training as part of the Empire Air Training Scheme in Canada. The Empire Air Training Scheme was a system by which airmen from across the British Empire were pulled together for training and sent to whichever unit required their services. As a result of the scheme, many Australians served in non-Royal Australian Air Force units as part of the wider Allied air effort. Whitby trained at Edmonton, Summerside and Patricia Bay before embarking from Canada for the United Kingdom in July. Shortly after arriving in the United Kingdom, he was promoted to Flight Sergeant. In December of that year, he was attached to the Royal Air Force No. 224 Squadron. Part of the RAF Coastal Command, No. 224 Squadron was flying Consolidated Liberator heavy bombers on anti-submarine patrols over the Atlantic Ocean, a difficult and dangerous task that required high levels of concentration and excellent navigational skills. In 1944, Whitby and his squadron took part in anti-submarine patrols in the lead-up to and immediate aftermath of D-Day, landings in Normandy, France. Their work was essential to protect shipping columns providing materials to the Allied war effort and to Allied ships crossing the English Channel during the invasion. On 7th June 1944, the day after D-Day, Whitby was serving as navigator on Liberator BZ-915, as it took part in an anti-submarine patrol south of England. The aircraft took off shortly after midnight from its base at St. Evelle, Cornwall, and was last heard of at about 2 a.m, reporting it was engaging the enemy near Chartres, an island off the coast of France. No further contact was made with the aircraft. The crew, 7 Australians and 3 British airmen, were later presumed to be lost at sea. John Whitby was 22 years old. His name is listed on the Runnymede Memorial in Britain, which records the names of more than 20,000 airmen and women who lost their lives in the Second World War and have no known grave. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, amongst 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flight Sergeant John Downton Whitby, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
If you're able, please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorials Development Project. We particularly appreciate your visit despite the challenges posed by COVID and wish you all a very pleasant evening.